All right. Let me open my mic. Oh, it's open. Okay. Welcome everyone. We're here with some great parents tonight. A lot of you are from our summer algebra, and so quite a few of you are actually. As I look out in the audience, there's others that are on the way. They're still signing in. Good evening, Sister Davin, and others that are here who are part of our summer program. I see Sister Kim's here. I see the Hilliards are here, and Sister Smith, and I hollered at Sister Moore already. No relation to our speaker. But Eric Moore is here, you guys. He is the founder of Educate California, which I think, though being the most unusual enrichment tool I've ever seen. I told some people in DC about him, and they said, "Oh my God, tell us more about it." And they said, "We don't have anything like that." They didn't have anything like me either, but they really were interested in that. And I'm going to have to talk to him about that some other time. But it is very unusual. I know the enrichment business pretty well. We're very rare people, but he has a program he's going to tell you about. I'm going to get out of the way. He's going to have a little more than an hour to tell you about it. And you can ask questions. And I think what we'll do is I'll watch the chat, since I'm going to keep my mouth shut here. And I didn't bring too many of my helpers in here. I got Sister Brianna here with me. I don't know if she's available. So Brianna, you switched over yet?
I have not switched over yet, but hi everyone. Good to see you. Yeah, I look forward to hearing Mr. Moore speak today.
Very good. Sister Brianna's helped me with college application this year. She's a college expert and advisor in her own right, alumni of San Diego State. I think she'll appreciate this. And I wanted her to see it because we want to integrate this in a little better than we have in the past. So Brother Eric, there are very few people I let speak to my group. I could actually put you up when I'm out of town and not worry. You know how preachers get, Brother Eric, right? Yes. Anyway, but I'm going to turn it over to you. God bless you. I'm so glad you're here.
Deacon, thank you so much. You're for, I think, 12 plus years now. We've been
wait a minute, Eric. I'm sorry. One more thing.
Okay.
Hold that thought. I do want to do this real quick with Andrea, like a commercial break. And now after this commercial, you'll hear Brother Eric, okay? And I'm really pushing this hard to you. I want you to hear this action too, Brother Eric.
Okay.
To be aware of this individual.
Okay.
She didn't think I'm just going to shove her right up there unless she's late. I didn't realize it. Here we go. Drea, can you hear me?
Hi, yes, I can hear you.
I'm going to throw you right up because I got Brother Eric here already. He's going to speak for the hour. But I thought I'd put you up for a really good infomercial right now. If you want to share something, you can.
Okay.
Tell the folks about what you think. You know what to do. Go ahead.
Okay.
Tell them what to do. Get out of here.
Okay. Hi, everybody. My name is Andrea Wilson, and I am a partner to Education Enrichment Program, and I have a startup company called 21 Bridges Languages. And so we are a tutoring company that specializes in foreign languages. And one of the languages that we're focusing on with our opening is Spanish. And so I am bilingual in Spanish. I know that it's really important for people who aren't exposed to languages to be bilingual.
But did you say you were bilingual?
I am bilingual, yeah.
I knew it. It always sounds funny.
It does sound funny.
I think more Black people need to be. That's another whole issue. Go ahead. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
It sounds really funny because I never intended on being bilingual. I wasn't raised in a bilingual household. I'm not a native speaker. None of my parents are native Spanish speakers. No one in my family is a native Spanish speaker. I am American. I am American, and by most American norms, I grew up only speaking one language, but I understood the importance of it as life went on. I lived in Guatemala for the Peace Corps, and I lived in Puerto Rico for the study abroad program. And I always say I accidentally became bilingual in Spanish because I didn't even have that as a goal. It just is something that I realized is necessary. I've worked multiple jobs across the non-for-profit sector all the way down to government sector, and my ability to speak Spanish has been more of an asset than anything. Not simply because I got paid more, but because I was able to do a lot more than other people on my team could do. And so that's really the resource and skill set that I want to pass down to younger kids, as young as possible, if we can get our youth exposed. So my company, we tutor other subjects outside of Spanish. We tutor English. And my colleague, who was also bilingual in Spanish after living in Spain for 5 years during her tour for soccer, she tutors sciences, chemistry, physics. She does the stuff that I would never do. But together, we want to see our youth really advance in their bilingual skill set by just getting exposed as early as possible. And so I'm going to drop my contact information in the chat. And if you want more information, you can visit my website, email me, and even send me a text.
That's right. And if Brianna would remind me, I will, before we leave, remind you she was here and show you on our website. We now have a fully functional page about her program, about what it can do. Reach out to her, especially if you have that student who you want to get more immersed in Spanish. And we're going to be working with her because we're going to be online for our homework club for a few weeks. And I've instructed Jared to work directly with you, Andrea. I'm just telling you that real time.
Okay, perfect.
Get hold of you. And we're going to make sure that these students get covered. But Spanish is something that I think is a job skill. So and I think Eric may have something in that Life Prep Academy. Could you, when you get there, Eric, could you say something about that in general, what I just said about job skills and learning how to speak Spanish, okay? Because I think you have something in your Life Prep Academy about it. But I wanted you to meet Andrea. By the way, yeah, Andrea is my daughter. Boy, it's a good thing she looks like her mother, huh?
Hi, Eric. I've heard so much about you. All good.
How are you, Andrea? It's nice to meet you.
All right. Okay, brother Eric, like I said, you got the floor, man.
I appreciate you.
All right.
And good to meet you, Andrea. We're going to be working together. So look forward to, you'll be receiving an email. But Deacon, thank you so much for having me. And parents, thank you so much for being here tonight. Just to introduce myself, my name is Eric Moore. I am the founder and CEO of Educate California. My story starts right very close to you guys here in LA. I grew up in LA. I grew up right there in the Leimert area. Matter of fact, on 3rd Avenue and 42nd Street. Went to 42nd Street School and was destined to head to Audubon and Crenshaw. And because that was in the early 70s when they were starting the busing, I decided, my parents decided, or actually I tested, and they decided that I was going to be going to what they now call LACES. So I was in the first class of what they call LACES. Back then it was just called CES, the Center for Enriched Studies. But yeah, I was in their first class and it was very cool. I had a great education there, but never went to the home schools. And then for high school, they decided instead of me going to Crenshaw, that I would go to Birmingham High School, which meant that I would be up at about 4:30 in the morning on the bus at Transfig, as you guys know, at Transfiguration, the church, and on my way to Birmingham, which is out in Encino, for high school. And it was a great education. I loved it, had a great thing, went off after that to Cal State Long Beach and started a career in the banking world and went to work for Home Federal. And then I started a business of my own, which was kind of cool. And then when that didn't take off the way I expected it to, I got back into the banking world and eventually ended up in the world of financial planning by getting all my different licenses and so forth. So up until 1998, my world was in the banking and financial planning world. And I thought that was going to be my career, as a matter of fact. And that's what I would go through for my total career and retire in that world. And in 1998, unfortunately, my mother passed away. And when she passed away, I took over taking care of the estate and things like that, and decided that we're going to move my family back into the family home there on 3rd Avenue. And not too long after that, I had enrolled my son in Crenshaw High School. I have 2 sons. So my eldest, I enrolled him in Crenshaw High School. And in November of that year, so this was in February, in November of that year, my son brought home a report card that kind of changed my life. It can change my whole life, quite honestly. And it was one of those, what's going on? Because I don't know if you guys have kids like this. I don't know if it's probably just me, but he was very motivated. He was very smart, but not motivated. Very, his grades were great, but not motivated at that point. And I thought that he was just going through some things. And so I decided that I needed to get more actively involved. Went up to Crenshaw High School, met every teacher and every counselor and the principal and everyone. And that's when I first learned that in the state of California at that time in 1998, the student to counselor ratio was 945 students per counselor statewide. Okay. So at Crenshaw High School at that time, they had 3 counselors for over 2,000 students. Okay. And that just shocked me. I couldn't believe it because at Birmingham, we had like 6, 7 counselors. I literally had a counselor help me fill out the paperwork to go to Cal State Long Beach. So that shocked me. So that's when I first knew that I needed to get more actively involved with my son's education. And so, like I said, I went to school with him, you know, and met everyone. I actually became a pest. That's the truth. I became a pest. I went there for 3 days straight, met every counselor, teacher, everyone, and so forth. They actually wrote a story about me in the LA Times, and they wrote a story because what I did worked, quite honestly, was that I could see immediately that his whole attitude was changing. Everything was changing, you know, because he said, Dad, I don't want to go to, I don't want to finish high school. I definitely don't want to go to college. And, you know, my wife and I are college educated. So we're like, no, that's not an option for you. So we're trying to figure out what are we going to do as far as his life after high school. So I took a little time and did just an enormous amount of research. And that research basically found, in the research, I found some unbelievable resources, some wonderful resources. And then I also started showing those resources to friends and family members, and every one of them said, wow, give me a copy of that. I need a copy of that. So that's how I got started with my nonprofit, quite honestly, is that I never intended to do this. I mean, I was going to be a financial planner, you know, but I had someone, I worked for Wells Fargo, and I knew that Wells Fargo gives out grants to nonprofits. So, you know, a friend said, hey, you can get a grant to do a couple of parent engagement workshop type of things. And so that's how I got started. And at that time, it was called Educate LA. And over the next 10 years, it became Educate California because we got some major grants. And our goal was to help people like you guys and like me, quite honestly. I had 2 kids. I wanted to know, what do I need to do? You know, what is the process for getting my kids into college? And, you know, what are resources are out there? And it started with my son not understanding his learning style. And so as the deacon can tell you, we first started off with just websites and helping people, but
Right.
it's really, really grown.
How long ago was that when you first came to me? I'm scared to ask.
It was around 2008, 10, something like that.
Goodness.
Because the African American Initiative for the Cal State started in 2010 or 11.
That's right.
And that's when we first met. From that. So my goal was to and is to help parents, you know the process of getting their kids prepared for college and to provide a roadmap. And I am blessed with the fact that in part of my research, I found a resource guide that was being produced by the County of Los Angeles. It's called the LA County Office of Education. So they're the big body that oversees all of the districts. I mean, LUSD and all the other 80 districts in the county, they oversee all of them. And I found this guide. It was called the Life After High School Guide. And I started using that guide. And I started buying those guides from the county to use in my workshops. And finally, someone called me up and said, hey, look, who are you? I buy 10 guides at a time when schools typically buy these in the hundreds or thousands. And I told them what I was doing and working with parents with just small amounts of parents. And they liked that so much that they invited me to sit on their advisory board. And so I did that for 8 years. And then in 2011, that advisory board was actually disbanded because everyone retired. And so they asked me if my education nonprofit would take over production of those resource guides, and we did. And so we have been the producer of those guides. We folded into what we call the Life Prep Academy. That's the name of our program. And that's what we're going to be taking a look at tonight, is the Life Prep Academy. So we've expanded it dramatically. We've expanded, there actually was just one guide. Now we actually produced 3 guides total because the county actually came back to us and asked us to produce a guide for opportunity youth. Those are the foster homeless, undocumented, special needs, and probation youth. Those have been in the juvenile system. And so they asked us to produce a guide for that. And we also produced a guide for the middle schools, parents and so forth. So that's what we're going to take a look at tonight. So I'll go ahead and just jump into it. I'll get started. Let me make sure I have everything all set. And I will share my screen and we will take a look at the Life Prep Academy. Okay, hopefully you all can see that there. So this is the Life Prep Academy. This is our website, and this is what we use to teach all of our students. And it is the way I really like to explain it, it's a roadmap for you guys as parents to understand how to get your students prepared for college, careers, and life after high school. And that's what our whole guide is about. Because once again, my son said he didn't even want to go to college. So I needed to know, what did life after high school look like to him? So at this point, what we did is we put together this roadmap. And the way it starts is you come here to students and parents, and you will click on sign in. So the nice thing that the deacon didn't tell you guys is that you all are going to be receiving a membership to the Life Prep Academy. All of the students that are participating in the the Summer Algebra Institute, I should say, they all receive a copy of this. And so you're going to have a full 1-year membership. So that's the reason for us to get together tonight, is for you to understand how to use this resource, because it's a really cool resource. So let me kind of walk you through how it works. So the first tab that you'll see here is the middle school and transition, the middle school portion. So just to walk you what all 8 of these buttons are, and this is the dashboard. Every page on this whole database has a link back to this dashboard, because this is where you really get started for everything. So the middle school portion is how to get your students prepared for that transition from middle school into high school. So there's an enormous amount of resources in there. And we talk about the basics of, there's going to be bigger class sizes. They're going to go from being a big fish to a little fish on the campus. They need to understand about grades and GPAs and things like that. So we talk to them about that in the middle school transition portion. The second one, the getting prepared for, that's where we talk about our 9th and 10th graders, really. So what do you need to know when you first get to high school about making it a successful journey? And you need to know things about how to study. So we have study skills and how to not procrastinate. We talk about A through G requirements. We talk about all the different testing that you need to do. But it's really for those 9th and 10th graders to get them prepared for that journey that they're about to take. In our next button, as a matter of fact, for our 11th and 12th graders on our third button. So the 11th and 12th graders and above, really, because we work with students from 14 all the way through 26 at this point now. So our journey portion is, so the life after high school, what are you planning to do? We talk about the colleges. We talk about how much does college cost? We talk about how do you pay for college? We talk about careers, aligning your career interest to the college that you choose, assessments and things like that. So we talk about all kinds of different options. We also talk about options, and this is very important because some of our students are not going to go directly to college. That's just the truth of the matter. So we talk about what are your options if you're not going to go directly to college. So we talk about entrepreneurship.
Yep.
Go ahead, Deacon.
Yeah, that's good one.
Yeah, so we have a whole course on entrepreneurship. And just to stop at this point, so what I do I actually, as you see, sponsored by the county up here, Educate California in 2022, June of 2022, we received a contract from the County of Los Angeles to teach 300 18 to 24-year-olds about life after high school. So we teach them about things because these are folks that did not complete, in some cases, did not complete high school, or they did a little bit of college, but they're disconnected. So we offer them an enormous amount of resources and options that they have. And there's some great resources. And what I'm hearing from a lot of my students right now is entrepreneurship is really, really hot. So we have a whole series of 6 different workshops that we do on entrepreneurship. We also do a series on, being smart about money. So what I do for the county students, those 18 to 24-year-olds, I teach them about college preparedness, career preparedness, financial literacy, because that's my background, and then also entrepreneurship, because I've also owned businesses. So that's what we do, okay? So the third button, once again, those are for my 11th and 12th graders and above. Here, the healthy living is where we're teaching students that, as you get out of high school and you're on your own, you still need to take care of yourselves. As a matter of fact, it's more important now. So I have students that don't understand why their grades are not good in college when they're great students, but they're not taking care of their mind and their body while they're in college, and they're on their own and they're in their dorms, and they're not taking care of themselves and not eating properly and those types of things. So we talk about healthy living, mental health, and I'll show you some of the things under there. We talk about diversity, equity, inclusion, because they're going to be on diverse campuses. We talk about social skills and things like that under the 4th button. Number 5 here, the homework help sites. That's really how we got started, was finding websites that we could use for my son to help him as a very kinesthetic of the learning styles, auditory, visual, and kinesthetic. He's very kinesthetic kid. And most of our kids are now. I mean, they grew up with videos and, the cell phones and the tapping and typing and so forth. So I learned that that was something that helped him. And for the first 10 years, this is what we're really focused on, just this one portion. So we have some great websites in there to help your students do their homework, research, and it's broken down by English, math, social studies and science and all kind of wonderful things. I'll show that to you in a little bit too. We also have a listing of all of the great, the most popular and the best scholarship search engines. And then we have it broken down by need and nationality and how to write an essay and how to avoid scams and things like that. And then this is once again a whole number 80-page book. This second to last one here is our foster homeless probation, undocumented and special needs youth. So this is a big deal. I work with a lot of students that fall into these categories, especially my 18 to 24-year-olds. And off the top, I'll just tell you two quick things is foster youth. For foster youth, those who have been in foster care between the ages of 16 and 18, for even one day, they automatically qualify for an extra grant called the Chafee Grant. It's $5,000 per year up to age 26, okay? Up to $5,000 all the way to they turn 26. So those students that have qualified, they need to know about that. So that's part of my job is to make sure that they understand about that. There's a lot of resources that are available for them. And then I'll talk about the special needs youth also. I always talk about, not just talking about those that have physical special needs. I'm talking about a lot of students that I work with that have autism or ADHD or dyslexia, sight problems, hearing problems. There are some wonderful resources for those students that are out there that are federally mandated too. So it's not like, the colleges are just doing them because they love the kids. They're federally mandated. And I'll talk to you about, what resources are out there also. And then typically when we have our longer workshops, and we'll talk about the deacon about this, we can go really deep into the Life Rep Academy. We do surveys because I want to know, are you guys learning from what I talked to you about, And so we ask you questions on a scale of 1 to 10. How much did you learn? We do a pre-survey and a post-survey, and we keep all of our surveys behind here where we're able to measure how much you guys actually learn from going through our presentation and our different workshops that we have available, okay? So here, moving to the top, the quick links, my plan, and so forth, just to show you what these are. So the quick links is like the table of contents. That's what's behind all those buttons, okay? So the reason I put that there is that I work with a lot of schools and nonprofit organizations, colleges, and groups and so forth, and their counselors. I want to make sure that their counselors and also you guys as parents are able to navigate very quickly. And so I have a lot of times where someone may say, my son or daughter wants to go to HBCU, so you shouldn't have to scroll through all the pages that are there. You can quickly navigate, and that's what this whole page is about, is to get you to different resources very quickly. So that's what the quick links is made there. So kind of like a table of contents. I actually skip to the videos portion because when we do our workshops, I do, like I said, those workshops for the county, we videotape or record our Zoom workshops. And we actually do also live ones too. We videotape the live ones too when we do them in person. But we list them here so students can go back and watch the different workshops. And as you can see, we talked about creating resumes. I had, Southwest and UPS, who are some of our sponsors, come and talk to our students. But we have ability to always do a video, to keep the video so the students and the parents can go back and watch them also. This academic report here, this is very important for parents. This is very important for parents. So the academic report is something that was recommended to me by one of the counselors that I've worked with over the years. They said there's certain things that students need to know and that parents need to know that your students should be thinking about. And so there are larger systems that the schools use, like Naviance. You guys may have heard of Naviance and big systems like that.
Yes.
But she told me, she said, those are okay, but a parent just needs to have a one-pager. And so I said, okay, that's what I created here. It's a one-pager that you should understand the A through G. You should understand how important the FAFSA is, the AP classes, and you can see these are all links to different websites where we explain those different things, okay? So this one page is where you as a parent can keep track of your student. Are they on track? Have they taken concurrent courses? Are they taking AP courses? And I just heard the deacon last week talking about not taking too many of those courses. And in some cases, making sure you're taking the right, but you want to make sure that you are on track. And this is a way that you can actually save this to your student's profile and you always click the save button at the bottom of every page where you see a save button, because this will actually save this to your student's profile. So we're going to give you guys membership that will be for your student and you as parents. And then you will be able to go back and look at this and talk to your student and have this saved to their profile. Then most importantly is the My Plan. Here's what we have, an area where we want to just drill into your mind, quite honestly, how important those A through G requirements are.
Yes.
We'll talk about that in a moment, what they are and so forth. But, you know, and I'm sure the deacon has already done that because, like I said, I go to the deacon for answers. You guys honestly have, you know, one of the best teachers in the world. So I go to him for many things, but we want to make sure that you understand it so much that you actually put your students' grades in here and then click save. Remember, click save always. Every page has a save button, because that way it'll tabulate your students' GPA for you so you know where you are. So you don't do what I did. Okay, so when my student was in the 10th grade, as he was coming in the 10th grade, I literally went into his counselor's office and said, so how's Anthony doing? And honestly, when it came out of my mouth, it was like, oh, wow, that didn't sound right. I should know. I should know this, okay? This is why I created this page, is that you guys should know where they are. You should be asking qualified questions. That's why I created the roadmap.
Yes.
So you do all 4 years, all the way through senior, it tabulates your grade so you know where you are. And then it's great for you to even start with your students in the 9th and 10th grade. What is your college plan? What do you want to become? So we have these pages where they actually can create a plan and save it to their profile. And it's great for the student because it kind of clarifies, and we know this is going to change. That's the number one thing. If they stay this in the 9th grade, that may change by the 12th grade, and that's perfectly fine. The goal is to have them start thinking about, what do you like? What are your interests? What do you think you may want to become? Do you want to be a lawyer, an artist, entrepreneur, soldier, whatever, and what kind of college you think that'll take? And start having these conversations, especially if they're in the 10th grade, 11th grade. You really want to have these conversations if they're in the 10th and 11th grade, because what are you going to be thinking about college for? What is going to be the career that you want to have, that you're going to be going to college for? So here's a page where you can have them go through, fill in what kind of degrees they want to pursue. And it's also kind of a dream building type of thing with them, is to have them start thinking about it. You could ask them, do you understand what the major and minor is at? If they don't understand that, there's a website that'll show them exactly what that means and how to choose their major and minor. But the whole goal is for them to create a plan starting when they get into high school, and always hit save. And then they also can create a career plan where they can tell you, some of them have said, I want to be an entrepreneur. So who can they ask for help for? Who's going to be part of their network? Who they can get letters of reference funds and so forth. They do that. And with also, especially with my 18 to 24-year-olds, we have them create a financial plan. And it's great for high school students that understand that in the beginning. You want to have a banking relationship. You understand your credit score, investment products, insurance, and so forth. I just learned something, as a matter of fact, myself, quite honestly. I had one of my sponsors, State Farm, come in and talk about insurance products. And I didn't know that with rental insurance, if you tell them that you have a storage unit, your storage unit's property is automatically covered. Okay, and I didn't know that. So we want to teach that to students so that they understand different things when they get their apartments and so forth, to understand it. So we create a whole plan where the student can actually create a plan. Okay, so that's what the whole thing is. So what we're going to do today is we're going to actually walk through some of these actual links here so you can see exactly what's behind here, because I want you to understand how they work and how to actually use the program. So actually, before I get started, are there any questions or anything like that before we get started? Or Deacon, anything you'd like to say before we get started?
No, that's just good. Go ahead, dive into it.
Okay. All right. So the first page, we talk about aiming high. That's the main things. We want to set some high goals for our students and for them to set some high goals for themselves. So we want to make sure that they have the tools. So on this one page, we do a whole workshop on this one page. So on here, there are resources. Everything in blue are links to external sites that I found about 2,500 sites, and I found those and I wove them into the roadmap here. So as we're going through, because this is the actual book. This is the actual book that was created by Aleco, and actually it was created in the 70s. So I put the whole book on here. And then when we talk about study habits, I found a good website to talk about that. So here's a perfect one here for parents to use with their students and for schools to use with the students, study habits. So what study habits do your students currently have? And it has already do, plan to do, and not interested. And I love that because they have different learning styles. So already do, what are your students already doing? And go through this with them. And you can download this worksheet as a PDF. You can download this worksheet and ask your students, so what do you currently do on here? And then some of them are things that, you know, I don't do this right now, but you're right. I should take regular breaks every, 5 minutes every. I should do that. So these are things I plan to do. And then there's some things that they're just not interested in because quite honestly, that doesn't fit their learning style. And I always talk about this. My wife gets mad at me, so don't get me, but she always laughs. Says, why do you use me an example? Because it's a perfect example. My wife is, and I just laugh about this. I'm not being judgmental, but she's one of those crazy people. I always say that. She's one of those crazy people that can study with music or the TV on. You know, I don't know how many people are like that.
Me too.
You okay? Okay.
I was like that.
I can't do that. I need it perfectly quiet. I was the perfect student to study in the library at college, okay? You know, because I need it perfectly quiet. But that's her learning style and it works for her. And that's the whole thing. And so as you can see, you know, study in your learning style, take regular breaks, listen to soft music or something like that. If that's something you do or something you plan to do, try it. It may work for you, but we want to make sure that you understand what are some of the options that your students can have. So there's a whole list, and I encourage you as parents to go through and, you know, print this out and talk to your students about it because it's some great information. You know, high school success, college success, how to stay organized. Actually, no, this one here, this is very important. So I'm going to actually take a few minutes. It takes about 5 minutes for this video, but this is important. And I think it should be important to you guys. So one of the most important things students can do in order to be successful in high school and in college, okay, and in college, especially for your students, they're 11th and 12th graders, they need to understand this, is how to take notes in an effective system, okay? Because a lot of students get there and they don't know how to take notes properly. So this video actually talks about it, and this is another example of, once again, I work with my son who is kinesthetic. So what I found is if I partnered videos with what he read in the book and what he learned in the classroom, then his grades went up, his attention went up and so forth. So we're gonna just take a quick listen to this video. It's about 5 minutes or 6 minutes, but I want you guys to hear this so you can understand the quality of some of the resources that we have available for you. So this is how to take notes properly, or how to take better notes.
What is the best system for taking notes in class? Well, luckily for you, I did the research, and it turns out that there are different note-taking systems that are generally accepted to be pretty darn good. And of course, I will be representing these note-taking systems with Street Fighter characters, because why not? So the 5 note-taking systems I'm going to go over in this video include the outline method, the Cornell method, the mind map method, the flow method, and the write on the slides method. The first note-taking system on my list is the outline method. I've chosen Renew to represent it because the outline method is straightforward, based on hierarchy, disciplined, and overall very simple. In fact, you couldn't get more simple than the outline method unless you were just straight up writing paragraph notes down. And if you think that's going to be a good note-taking method, well, things are not going to work out for you. So the outline method is a note-taking system that's based on bullet points and hierarchy. Basically, to take outline style notes, you simply create top level bullet points of all the main points in the lecture. Then you make lower level bullet points to fill out all the details. If you're taking outline notes on paper, it's a good idea to either space out your main bullet points or summarize them at the top if your professor goes through them, and then make new bullet points that are more detailed down the line. However, if you're taking these notes on a computer like I always did in a program like Evernote or Word or another word processor, you can easily go back, add new bullet points, and format things without having to mess up the structure of your document too much. So honestly, for the outline method, I think using a computer is a perfect approach. The second note-taking method on my list is the Cornell method. And I've chosen Chun-Li to represent it because she's got multiple kicks and it's got multiple sections. The Cornell method was developed by Walter Pott back in the 1950s, and it still holds up pretty well today. When you take your notes in the Cornell style, you divide your paper into 3 distinct sections. On the top of your paper, you'll have 2 different columns, the left one being the cue column and the right one being the note-taking column. And underneath those 2 columns, you add another box for the summary. During class, you use the note-taking column on the right to write notes in a normal style. However, this is where the Cornell method deviates from other note-taking systems. As soon as you can after class, you write down questions or cues in the cue column. These are meant to help you review later. You also write down a summary of the lecture in the summary column. These 2 sections of the Cornell method, the summary and the cue column, They're both designed to help you build reviewable notes the first time you write them. That way you don't have to go back and rework your notes so much. Note-taking system number 3 is the mind method. You know, it's been said that your mind is a map of the territory that is reality. So maybe by that logic, the mind map system is the perfect note-taking system. Actually, that doesn't make any sense at all. Either way, I chose Dulcine to represent the mind mapping system because he's a meditator and he's always focused on improving his mind. To begin a mind map, you simply take a blank piece of paper, draw a circle in the middle of it, and add the main topic of the lecture there. Then you'll start branching off little trees and adding subtopics. Eventually, you'll have lots of little branches and you'll create a mind map. I never actually used mind maps for my class notes, but I have used them for blog post topics before. When I wanted to write a blog post on all the ways you could save money in college, I wanted to make sure I could cover all my bases. So I created a mind map. I put saving money in college in the middle, and then tried to figure out all the different facets of a student's life where they have to spend money. Building a mind map helped me organize all these topics, and as a result, I was able to create a more comprehensive list in the end. The fourth note-taking system is the flow method. This system was invented by the writer Scott Young, who's probably best known for going through the entire MIT computer science curriculum in a single year. Scott uses what he calls holistic learning, and his approach is diametrically opposed to the rigid transcribing style of the outline method. As a result, I chose Blanca to represent this note-taking system. His fighting style is that of basically a wild animal, and it's the complete opposite of more disciplined fighters like Ryu or Guy. And that is a perfect way to describe the flow system of note-taking. You're not trying to get every single detail from the lecture down onto your paper. And in fact, the point is not to transcribe the lecture at all. Rather, it's to learn while you are sitting in class. As you take your notes, your goal is to create an original document that represents your mental image of the subject. It's not to record verbatim what your professor said. As you take notes, you can go back to earlier points, add details, draw in arrows and little offshoots, and basically create something that is your own. The entire point of the flow system of note-taking is to learn it once. This lets you accelerate your learning, and that's the real strength of the system. The final system of taking notes is the lazy man's way of taking notes. And I call it the right on the slides method. To represent this note-taking method, I chose Zenity. Because Zenity. Seriously, do you really think I put a whole lot of thought into these things? If your professor actually lets you download the lecture slides before class, then it can be pretty convenient to just go print them off the computer lab and write directly on them. One of the cool things about this method is that the slides more or less mirror the flow of the lecture. So you almost get a sort of timeline view when you take notes on slides. It's kind of like SoundCloud, where people can actually leave comments at specific times during an audio. Taking notes on slides isn't that accurate, but it's pretty close. And when you do it, you can look back and say, okay, at this slide, he was talking about return on the cost of buzzwords, synergy management. So those are the real strengths of the method. You don't have to write as much because the slides sort of do it for you, and you get a sort of timeline view for your notes. So those are, in my humble opinion, the best 5 note-taking systems out there. Which one's right for you?
Once again, I wanted to show you that, because that is the type of videos that we have. He does a video on stop procrastinating, time management skills, and you probably don't know some of those characters. I definitely don't. But the characters, those are students will know those characters. So if you go through with your students, those.
Oh yeah, they know the boy, especially young men, they know them.
Exactly, yeah. So they know who he's talking about, because I had no idea. I had to have someone tell me who they were.
Super Smash, the video game, yeah.
Exactly, exactly. So yeah, definitely, this would be a good thing for you to go through with your students. Also, just the learning style. This is a great one here. This is very important. This is how I got started with my son. I literally asked him, do you understand the learning styles? And I explained the difference. His mom is a reader. She's a person who loves novels, and she'll, she's a visual learner. She can sit down and read the novel. She gets it the first time, and she enjoys it. She kicks us out the house and wants it quiet and so forth. I'm more of I walk my dogs, and I'm not a visual learner. I'm more of an auditory learner. I put it on my iPhone and I do the Audible and I listen to the books. I want to know what she's listening to and hearing or reading. So I can do that as an auditory learner, but most of our kids are kinesthetic. And literally, when I showed my son the characteristics of this, he said, Dad, you have to be kidding. It's that easy? And I said, well, no, it's not that easy. I just want you to understand that you learn in a different way. And so because you guys are very, he can't sit still for long, he has sloppy handwriting, fidgety. And I said, yeah, that's normal because you guys have grown up using videos and, typing things and so forth and, using phones and so forth. that's natural for a lot of our kids to be kinesthetic. So if your kids don't understand that there are 3 different styles, and they said there's more, but these are the major 3. And if you work with them so they understand that, it's very good for them to understand what is my learning style. Because when I started partnering videos and graphics and having him using websites in addition to what he was learning in class, then everything changed for him. His grades went up, his attitude changed and so forth. He didn't go on to Harvard the way I wanted him to, but he definitely graduated, went on to community college, and he's 40 years old now and doing just fine. So, that's the nice thing. So this is a great website to use with your students too. Okay, so we'll just kind of walk through some of the other ones here. Parent and family engagement. This is our job, is we want to help families get more involved. So take you from being just participants to minimum being involved, and past the engaged, but involved, actually hands-on with your students. The fact that you guys are here tonight, that means you're there. Now, I went a little crazy. I became an ambassador. And if you guys want to become an ambassador, we love having ambassadors. I love to have people tell more about what the Life Prep Academy does, and we will welcome those if you want to go that level. Oh, I'm sorry, it's on that page so long, it signed me up. So the next page, we talk about the A through G requirements. And what are those A through G requirements? I'm sure the deacon has told you, but just basic, there are 15 classes. 15 classes that students must pass with a C or better in order for them to qualify to go to the Cal State or the University of California. Okay, there are 15 classes. Now you say, what are those classes? And you can put those into your plan. That's the point of having you do that. But here's just a schematic to have you see, what are we talking about those 15 classes? And you say, well, wait a minute, there's more than 15 classes there. That's absolutely right. Because if you want to get in just with the basics, that's fine. But the UC system and some of the higher education, especially Harvard and those exclusive schools, they're expecting you to do the extra 4th year and the 3rd year. And they want you to take those 4th year. So there's 18 on here. Okay. So if your student is going to go to an exclusive school, a 4-year, like a UC, you can get into them with the basics. But if you want to be competitive and have their grades be at the level and they've taken the right classes, they need to take all 18 of these classes. So don't be fooled that you only need 15 and you're going to have your kids go to Harvard. That's no. I recommend taking all that 4th year and 3rd year and 3rd year of the 3 there. And one thing is about that foreign language. Make sure it's the same foreign language. A lot of times they had their only 49% of the students who graduated from the LAUSD in 2019, and there's an article about that I have from the LA School Report, only 49% of the students who graduated from the LAUSD in 2019 had taken all of the right classes, all of the A through G requirements, okay? So only 51% of them were not qualified to go to the UC or the Cal State, okay? And you say, well, what happened? Well, number one, there's a 527 to 1 student to counselor ratio, 527
Right.
students to counselor ratio, which is why parents have to be involved. But that's what's happening in California right now. That's what's on the Department of Education site. And in some cases, your students, if they're not an A student or an F student, they may not get that time with the counselor, okay? So you guys need to know this as parents. That's why we do what we do. And so you understand that whole process. So let's keep going. Let's talk about concurrent enrollment, that wonderful thing that can save you a lot of money and help your students really become masters at what they're doing and increase their confidence level dramatically. So people say, well, why would I want to have my students take community college courses while they're going through high school? Well, number one, they're free. Number two, when you take those classes, that means that they don't have to take those classes when they get to the Cal State or the UC. Okay, that means that they've already taken those classes, and those are hard. They're not watered down classes. They're the actual classes taught by professors. And if your student is taking a concurrent class and has a good grade, they know they have a mastery of that class. I mean, their confidence level goes up. I mean, think about it. And quite honestly, Deacon, we've talked about this. I had one of your parents, when I came there and spoke in person, they came to me, a father, and said, my daughter did everything you told her and took the concurrent classes while she was in high school, and she graduated with her high school diploma and her AA degree at the same time.
Yeah, we used to have about 7 or 8 others who've learned about it through you, but since then we've been pushing it really hard. So we've had a bunch that have done that every year, about 6 or 7. So you're right about that, man.
Yes.
Hey, Deacon, I'm
Yes.
a parent who I've gone through that process myself in high school. When I graduated, I had 2 years of college already done. I only needed 2 classes to graduate high
wow.
school at all. So when I went to high school my senior year, I had 1 class every day and I went to work. And
Yeah.
then when I graduated, I had 2 years of college done and I transferred in. It's easier to transfer into a college than to apply right off the bat. So I transferred in
right.
as a sophomore of college.
I'm
So
scared
it
to
works.
remember, but is this Dominguez or Long Beach?
This, this is Dominguez, honey. You know, it's a
All right.
Toro.
Oh, praise the Lord. I'm sorry. I remember this one or the other. I guess I got it wrong though. Go ahead. Thanks a lot for the insight. We
You're
really
welcome.
appreciate that.
Yes.
Oh yes, Miss Jackson, thank you for telling us, because that there are high schools now that they call dual enrollment high schools, and so they can, they're great.
Absolutely.
That's a great it's a great option for your student. And I did the same thing. I graduated in my 12th grade year. I only had to take a few classes, and then I went off to work too, half day. So I'm right there with you, Miss Jackson. So thank you for adding that. But a great way for you to have your students build their confidence, and at the same time save yourself an enormous amount of money, especially if they're going to the 27,000 or so or 35 plus thousand UC system. So save them some money. So the AVID program, if your school has
Yeah, super quick, Gary. I
yes,
just want to put out to the parents, I just dropped a video today. I didn't know he was going to emphasize this. I just dropped a video today. You might want to look at it, where I talk about dual enrollment and our program, our partnership with Trade Tech. So look into that on our website. Go ahead.
There you go. Absolutely. AVID program. If your student's school has AVID on there, I recommend it highly. Great program to get them ready. Those AP courses that like the deacon was talking about, they're wonderful. That's how you get the 0.1s and 2s and so forth. Do not overstress your student. If they're good in math, don't have them taking AP English and history. No. You do not, as the deacon has said, and I agree with this 1,000%, an A in a normal class as opposed to a C in an AP class. I would rather have that A in that normal class, because when you take an AP class, you're saying that you have a mastery. And if you don't necessarily have a mastery of that by getting a C, that does not look good on your transcripts, right, Deacon?
That's correct.
Yes. So understanding what's the difference between weighted and unweighted, different colleges, go by different ways. Understanding the difference with AP and honors. UC Scout, this is a really cool resource that's available. The UC system several years ago was receiving a lot of heat because a lot of the schools don't have AP courses on them, and available. So their kids
right.
could not compete with those other kids. So the UC system created UC Scout, and just full disclosure, it's not on every campus. So if you want to have a UC Scout, let me tell you what it is first. They have courses, so you click here on courses, and so they're makeup A through G courses. So if your student does not complete an A through G course or doesn't pass, they can do makeup A through G courses and also AP courses. So if in history, they could take regular US government and world history and so forth, the AP courses, or they can take the AP courses that are available. Now, the way it works is that the school that your student is going to has to have someone on the campus that will actually grade this, that is qualified to grade it. So if your school does not have that, then you as parents need to be, upright and say, go to your school and say, look, we need to get someone for this UC Scout thing because they can do it. They just have to apply for it and go through the process of having someone there. But there are two other options. They have a cohort option, and they also have, I want my child to go through this and I'm willing to pay for it option. Okay. So they have the pricing and so forth right there at the top. You can go through and take a look at this, but this is for the students that want to, if you want to make sure your students apply themselves extra and they don't have all the options available to them, this is one way that you can do it, either through going through the school, and you have to insist that they don't have someone there, or you as a parent, if you want to invest in it, you can make the investment yourself, okay? A GPA calculator, very cool. So you understand and your student understands. It's great for them to go here and put in your grades so they can track, exactly what it is. And it talks about weighted and unweighted. You can flip back and forth and so forth, if they're AP classes or whatever, but you can go through and put in here and it'll calculate your GPA so you know exactly where your student stands, okay? This one here, the NCAA one, very important. If your student is an athlete and wants to play any kind of a sport while in college, they must understand the rules for maintaining their eligibility. And that's what this website is about. Wonderful site where they can go there. We had students several years ago that literally a student wanted to go to a certain college because his big brother played football there. And he was a football star coming up after his big brother, and went out to see him, and they're on the football field, and a junior coach comes up and says, hey, this is your younger brother. Hey, you should come play for us. And, talking him into it. And just happened to be going to lunch. So you guys want to come with me? And he's taking them to lunch. And as soon as he swipes his credit card to buy them a hamburger, that $5 hamburger could cost them all their scholarships. Okay. So they need to know what the rules are. So that's where you can go here. If any students are going to be an athlete, they need to know what the rules are. And they're all listed here on the NCAA site. Okay, for the college entrance exams that you guys know, the UC and the Cal State and several other schools are not are requiring the SAT and the ACT. I still recommend you do it. Extremely important because there are some schools that do. And you can go here and learn about, you know, what they are. The Khan Academy, great resource for studying what a good SAT score is and so forth. So all the information is right here for you to understand exactly what you need to do. But I highly still recommend that you go through it and look at those exams. Like I said, some of my students have not completed their high school diploma, so we have resources for them to go back and completing high school. Students with special needs. Once again, we talked about that. So I just say something. So this is just one page, but we have a whole section. This down here at the bottom, we have a whole section on resources for a student that are college bound with special needs. But just to touch on this one page, what I always like to tell parents, because I actually was asked by someone at UC Santa Barbara. I was doing a workshop there. And he said, Eric, please go over that page again, more and more with the parents so they understand that the truth is young people that have special needs, whatever their special needs is, in many cases, the parent has invested a lot of time and so forth. They really want to be, you know, on top of things for that student. But when that student turns 18, laws change. The law changes. So you can't go to the college and ask them,
Right.
How's my student doing?
No, it's FERPA.
Right, that's their FERPA laws and so forth. So the person at the college says, please explain what's going on. And this is the proper way to do it, she told, is that when you are researching the colleges, make sure that they have a department on that college, because they all should, by law, have a department on there that is made specifically for students that have special needs and disabilities. Right. Because they will literally have someone go to class with them, help them with notes, you know, whatever is necessary, because by law, they have to do it. It's not, like I said, because they're being nice people. It's by law, okay? It's accommodations from the College Board and the ACT with testing and so forth. But they said, make sure that the parents understand to come before school starts, and you advocate for them before school starts. And I keep saying before school starts, you advocate for them everything and make sure that they get everything that they qualify for. But after that, you cannot come back because of those laws, those FERPA laws. And so they want to make sure parents understand that. I mean, they literally said, you know, at UC Santa Barbara, she said, Eric, I had a parent call me one day and just bless me out because I didn't wake her son up to go to take a test or something like that. They're like, well, wait a minute. He's on the UC Santa Barbara campus, okay? So the point is that, yes, we know that you've been very hands-on for those first 18 years. After that, you need to let them be adults, and the schools have resources to make sure that they have a successful experience on the campuses. Okay, so we have a walkthrough calendar. We're going to speed up a little bit more because I wanted to make sure I go over those because we're going to talk a little bit less about some of the things, but I want to show you that we have a planning calendar, what's happening in the freshman and sophomore year, the junior year, and then the senior year. Of course, one thing I will talk about in the senior year is that, as you probably know, all the Cal State schools and most schools are impacted, meaning they have a lot more students trying to get on campus than they have space available for them, which is another good reason for those current classes, because you take them while you're in high school, you don't have to worry about them in college. But the main thing is the down payment on your dorm. The dorm is definitely, you know, something that they recommend. If your student can stay on campus for the first 2 years, highly recommended that they do that. So don't wait until the last minute to put your dorm down payment in there. Do that right up front so you understand and make sure that your student qualifies and gets one of those coveted spaces of the dorms, because they don't have enough in many cases, okay? So let's go through. What are the financial aid resources? And once again, you're gonna have access to this. And the deacon told me that he's probably gonna have me back so we can go into depth on these different things. But this is about financial aid. Of course, you wanna know about that FAFSA. This is how you get the money for college. And you understand that it starts in October. October is the time that you need to understand. So the process of October 1st through June 30th is when you start planning for that. March 2nd is always the deadline. March 2nd, March 2nd, March 2nd. Keep that in your mind. But that's how you get the money for college. We have resources. They have these cool things called Cash for College workshops. that are all over the state where you can go take your W-2s and all your information, and they will actually help you fill out the FAFSA and the Chafee grant applications right there to make sure that it's done properly, okay? Another thing is when you get an award from the colleges and you get money from someone gives you an award, you can compare those awards. You don't have to take what they give you. You can negotiate those sometimes. You can say that, well, my son or daughter is going to be doing a certain thing and negotiate things. So don't just accept what comes directly out of them. Actually sit down with someone and make sure that you're getting the best possible deal so you can get the most money available for you, okay? Federal grants and loans, we talk about those here. That's all of the, the Pell grants and the Stafford loans and PLUS loans, that's all that good stuff. On the next page, we talk about California grants. Here's also where that Chafee grant that we talked about here, and you can click on that, it'll take you to the page, it'll show you exactly what you need. So like it says, to qualify, it has to be before your 26th birthday and be a former foster youth that was in foster youth between the ages of 16 and 18 for even 1 day. So all the California grants are right there. And then scholarships. Very cool thing. I always ask people, what's the best way to pay for college? And the best way to pay for college is to not have to pay for college. And that means getting scholarships. The better your students' grades are, the more scholarships they'll qualify for. 3.25 or better is where you really want to go, because that's where it kind of opens up the door to a lot of scholarships. But we want to make sure you understand that you never pay money to get money. Okay, you don't never have to do that because there are free scholarships out there. You will also need to know that there are essays that they're going to have to write. Typically, it's called a 5-paragraph essay. Here are some actual winning tips from some people just in 2022 that won some scholarships and so forth. So you can learn how to do the essays. And then at the bottom, we have all the different scholarships, starting with the search engines here. And so these are the big ones. Big Future, oops, I went the wrong page. Big Future, CapEx, and FastWeb. Now, warning, when you sign up for them, they will send you scholarships almost every day if you want them to, okay? So you don't need to sign up for all three of them, okay? Sign up for one of them. Choose one that you like the most, because they all have a little different things that they do, but don't sign up for all three. But you could put in your students' demographic, who they are, African-American, Latino, going to a college, a big college, in-state, out-of-state, and they'll send you all different types of scholarships that met your needs, okay? Another thing is the military.com. Honestly, I didn't realize until after my college that my father, the fact that my father was a veteran, I could have had most of my college paid for, okay? But these military.com, this website will give you some great scholarship for that. There's another one at the bottom down here called the U.S. Veterans Magazine, but those are specifically to help students get scholarships that are the son or daughter of veterans, okay? And so great scholarships that are available here. On the next page, and we're going to keep going, I do a whole workshop on managing your money. So with my 18 to 24-year-olds, we talk to them about, what is credit, put together a budget, especially with the students going to college. Once again, mom and dad, you're not going to get the check. The check's going to go to the student. So it's good for you to teach them how to do a budget. Literally, I tell you, scare them a little bit and show them your budget. Now they'll understand, why they're not going to get the $150 Jordans when they want them or whatever the case may be. But I had to deal with my kids, So there's a great way you can show them how to build a budget. You can put in the amount of your income, your salaries, and then it ticks off. So now I have to deal with housing and transportation and savings and all those different things. So great way to teach students about budgeting and saving. So literally, this is another page. We do a whole workshop, actually 2 different workshops on this one page on how to get students to understand about credit and being credit smart. And, the fact that credit cards aren't bad, you just want to make sure you use them properly and things like that. So you don't wind up looking like this guy with your money flying out of your wallet. So we'll speed up a little bit, finding your path. We talk about how to find the right careers, resources to help you assist with finding the right college. Then the answer for that is the best way to find the right college is to go on a bunch of college tours. Learn about the colleges. Are they big? Do you want to go to a big college? Do you want to go to small college? You want to go in-state, out-of-state, interstate? Do you want a religious college? You want to know, and the best way to do that is to visit lots of different colleges, and that's the best way to really determine what's the right college for you. Here's some tips on getting into college. Here's where we talk about the 3 different California public colleges and their cost and so forth. These are actually, I think these numbers are just about right, or I have links to the page where you can find out exactly where they are. Here we're talking about the common application where you can apply to several different colleges at the same time with one application. historically Black colleges, we have those available, Hispanic colleges, Jesuit colleges, tribal colleges. So there's a lot of options for your students. You just want to make sure they understand that. The California Community College System, 116 now different colleges are available. One thing I will talk about that's very cool is that they now have this program called a bachelor's degree program. So what they've done is that they've allowed, in this case, I think it's 19 colleges. It was started off with 15, but I think now it's 19 colleges to teach all the way up to bachelor degree level, one subject. Okay, so and in this case, actually, they've approved a couple for them to teach two subjects, because like Feather River and Bakersfield. But what they want to do is that they want to impact to work for the fact that all the colleges, the CSUs and the UCs are impacted. So you don't have to leave a community college and go and transfer. So for one subject, like for West LA, they have dentistry, dental hygiene, and now they just were able to be approved for aviation,
Right.
and so forth.
Yes.
Okay, so great way you can save a little bit of money. It's not, half of the cost, but it's a little bit less than the cost of having them go to the four-year college, but great programs like that. So here's the different community college systems here's where all the community colleges are. How to transfer to the college, if you're going to go from community college to the CSU or the UC, you need to know about the Assist website, and we'll talk more about that when we get together again. Here's the California state system and the 23 campuses that they have available, and some wonderful resources. I've been to almost all of them. Here's how to qualify for them. We have information about the UC system here. We have information about how to be eligible for the UC system. So California independent colleges, there's some great independent colleges that are out there. Even some states, the Western undergraduate colleges that are, I don't know if many of your students go to the WUI colleges.
Oh yeah, we have two big ones that we use.
Okay, there you go. So excellent. 15 or 16 of the most Western states got together and said, we want to have students stay close, don't have to go all the way across the country. And what we'll do is, instead of having them put the full out-of-state tuition, we'll discount that a little bit. So it's a little bit more than what they would pay for the full in-state tuition, but it's a great option for the students. Studying abroad in the military academies. So here we talk about what are the options for students after high school if they're not going to go directly into college. And we need to know there's apprenticeships. We have a whole section on entrepreneurship, private career and technical schools. So we have a lot of options. And once again, we do 6 different workshops on this Dream Toolbox entrepreneurship training that we have available there. The U.S. military is available for them, ROP centers and so forth. So we want to make sure that they know what's there available for them. Career planning, this is where we're going to the 3rd section, tools for the first job, resume and cover letter writing. So there's a lot of tips here. I will stop on this one page here, preparation for the interview. And down at the bottom here, the interview. One thing I want parents to understand, definitely talk to your students, especially if they're becoming 16 and 17. 2 things you need to know and to translate to them is that, number one, yes, they are going to look at their social media pages. That's number one. First thing they're going to do.
Yes.
Okay. Secondly, have a professional email address instead, in addition, not instead of, in addition to the one that you use for fun with your friends. So if you got your nickname in there, that's perfectly cool. But when you're applying for a job or applying for college, for both of those situations, they're going to look at your social media account. So make sure it's perfect. And number 2, have a professional email. Those are 2 quick things I always like to touch on this page here. Okay. Moving right along, teaching their students their rights. I can tell you stories about that at a different time. Now we're getting into that healthy living for those 12th graders and above, the role of diet and exercise, also your mental health. One of our partners is the California Youth Crisis Line. Really cool line for students to know that they can call anonymously if they just need to talk to someone, okay, for whatever the issue is, okay? So great resource for students is all 100% confidential, non-judgmental, just someone they can talk to. Here's tips for students and the young women at the bottom of the pages for how to take care of your body while you're in college so that you can have your mind clear and you have energy for class. We talked about texting and driving, and for your students who are going for your license, for their license now we have a great way for teens to stay safe, sponsored by State Farm, which is really cool here. A whole program for those students that are going through the process of getting their license. Internet safety. You parents need to know that there are acronyms and things that you guys don't know that they're putting into their text messages, and it talks about what those things mean. Okay, so there are 17 tips for parents. What do those acronyms mean, and so forth. So you're on top of that just in case you see something on your kid's phone and like, what are they talking about? This way you'll know what they're talking about. And then we talk about diversity, equity, inclusion, and social skills and things like that. And just want to make sure, once again, the students understand how important that is. And that's where it really ends here. The last portion, we have just five minutes left here. I want to show you so these are the homework help sites. And once again, this is how I got started with my son, is that he's very kinesthetic. So I did just an enormous amount of research, and I won't even bore you with the whole details, but I looked at thousands of sites, condensed them down to the best ones that are on the web to help parents and students do their homework, and for parents to be involved with that homework doing and so forth. The top 25 ones here are the ones that I typically show when I'm doing a workshop. I'll just show you a couple of them. A+ research and writing is really cool to help students, because a lot of the students don't understand how to write a college level research paper. So here's a 5-step or a 6-step guide on how to write a college level research paper. So we have resources like that. Bureau of Labor and Statistics. I love this. It starts off with not what do you want to be, as asking a student, what do you want to be? Asking, what do you like to do? So I like healthcare, So I like healthcare. I actually literally had a student one time where they said doctor, and accidentally, as I was scrolling down the doctor, I clicked on pharmacist. And I said, oh, I'm sorry, I went to the wrong one. She said, well, stop. Wait a minute. Does that say $128,000? I said, yes, it does. And the class started laughing. But she come to find out, this young student didn't want to be a doctor, though she was from a family of doctors. But she said, if I get the same doctoral degree and make the same kind of money, then I think I can convince my family that they'll be okay with that. Okay. So it's kind of, but the truth is she found a way to figure out what was the right profession for her. But that's why I like that Bureau of Labor and Statistics, because you can do that. The CIA World Fact Book, research on any country in the entire world.
Yeah, I've used that.
And, yeah, great women in history. I mean, just great history of holidays, learning styles, again, plagiarism to make sure your students don't fall into that trap. Purple Math to help them with their
Purple Math. Yeah.
I
like them better than Khan, by the way, but go ahead.
Me too. Yeah, I think Purple Math is great because they have spreadsheets and worksheets and all kind of things that you can use. And the last one I'll show you is this one here, the writing process. So the best website and the best college, or the best probably, is Purdue University. And when you see the owl, you'll know that you're in the right place, because that's, if your student wants to be a writer, here's where you can learn about every kind of writing style. I mean, it's just a phenomenal website because they're the best at that. So once again, I did the curating and I went through hundreds of them to find what are the best ones. And I put them here in the narrative of what is there. So we have language arts, math, research, science, social studies being my favorite because it talks about the history of all cultures throughout the world and so forth. So excellent resource there. Going back to the dashboard, scholarship search engines, I already showed you those when we're walking through. Foster homeless, I just showed you just one of them. It starts off with, what are your rights as a former foster youth going into college, okay? We actually have 2 pages about what your rights are for the foster youth. And then we talk about what kind of resources are out there. So every college, by law, they have an affinity group, if you will. So the different colleges have resources for foster groups, for foster care students, homeless students, undocumented students. And so they can become a part of a cohort of students that, if they happen to be going to Dominguez, they just happen to know that the Toro Guardian Scholars are there. I know there was a Toro fan here.
Sister Christine, don't say it too loud.
So yeah, there's Guardian Scholars on the Toro's campus there. But I wanted them to have quick access to that, so we gave them quick access to resources here. And we just have more resources about Cal grants and Chafee grants and the people they can call if they have issues. All the contact numbers are listed of all the different people they can reach out to.
Yeah, I've used this.
Okay.
It's all in one place. I find it convenient to use it when I'm helping students figure out what to do.
And that's our goal, is to be a resource for parents and for folks like the deacon who is working with their students, to have a resource that they can walk through with their students. And as you see now, we start over with homeless, and then we go to probation, undocumented, into special needs youth. But that's the Life Prep Academy. Hopefully it's a roadmap that you parents can use, and use me as a resource too. Once again, like I said, you have one of the premier resources in the deacon and the Christina and the whole staff that works with him. But I hope this will be something that you guys can use, and it'll be a valuable tool for your students. And what we would like for you to do is to help them get started with creating their plan, and use it when they're creating the report. Remember to hit save. Remember to hit save. I had people call me and said, I did the whole page and it went away. Well, that's because you didn't hit save at every page. But this is one way that you can actually have access to a really good resource that will hopefully be something that can help you with your students getting into college and all the way through into their careers.
Well, just about all these are SAI, so I will be, maybe you'll send you over what they need to do. I think if you gave a code number or whatever, you can send it over to us.
Yes.
Send to good old Christina, and we'll email these parents within a day. And I want to see all of you as parents to get this resource. We use it in our program because we use it because everything's in one place. We don't have to like Google and figure out what we did before, and it's very convenient, parents, and the information is also very accurate and well done. I'm probably going to have them back for specific parts of this now more and more. I think it's definitely the homework study stuff for my homework club parents and my students. We want them to start using that. We were using it in 2017, 18 and drifted away. We had our homework club students using when they're trying to do a paper or something there. And we're going to get back to using this, I'm sure. But we want to thank you all for coming in. Any questions? Hey, Sister Brianna, what do you think about that?
I think it's really great. Eric, I was looking at your website. I think all the life skills that you provide are really excellent, especially when it comes to like all the safety stuff and about health. And yeah, I think it's really great stuff that I wish I would have known when I was going into college.
Thank you. Thank you. And I love the parents think, did anything stand out to you guys? If anyone wants to come off, if we have 2 seconds, or so. Anyone, have any comments?
Let me ask one of them. I see a couple here that are pretty cool. Hey, Sister Adu, can you hear me? Can you come on? Sister Ama Adu?
Hi, Dickin.
Hey, tell your daughter about this.
I will.
Tell her about this.
Mm-hmm.
I'll get a hold of me.
Great information. Yeah, thank you so much. What stood out to me was just the internet security, how to monitor them and all that. So I'm gonna.
Yeah, I love that. That's the other thing I want to emphasize more, the financial literacy with youth. Don't you think that's important, Sister Ado? So
very important. Very important. So thank you for the information. Yeah.
You're welcome. And Deacon, if I could say one last thing, very important, because I need to work with you about this, is that we as an organization, Educate California, was just given a 3-year contract to work with the Black Student Achievement Plan for the LAUSD.
Yeah, I'm aware of that plan, and they also have a church version I might get a grant for later. But yeah, I'd love to work with you on that, please.
So what we need to do is
set up a Zoom, me, you, and good old Brianna and Christina will talk about it.
Absolutely.
Sorry, Brianna, I just lasted you in. Sorry.
So for the parents, what we need to do is what we're going to be doing for schools all throughout the LAUSD is increasing parent engagement and increasing the number of students that graduate having achieved those A through G and requirements. Those are the 2 things that but the point is that a lot of schools will not voluntarily do things. So no, to be involved in this process. And I'm depending on Deacon to help me get you guys rallied so that we can get the parents involved in making decisions. We literally had schools that were just throwing out new programs and things like that without even talking to the parents.
Right, that happens all the time. It's the norm. And Mr. Carvalho is very important, wants to really fix that. That's why the program, that's why getting people like you, then some of these churches involved. And I'd love to work with you on that. It overlaps with one of my big desires. Some of you parents might remember the other day, I stressed, get involved in what's going on in the school, and in the classroom, and to have other ulterior motives for it, I'll talk about another time. There's some concerns I have about classroom content. I think Brother Eric knows. And that's because they think you're not watching. So anyway, we'll have more to say about that. Yeah, I'll work with you on that for sure.
Thank you. I'm looking forward to it.
Okay.
Also, Deacon Wilson, I know that you wanted to show everyone the website. I think it might have been regards.
I put the link out there anyway.
Oh, you did? Okay.
I did put the link in the chat. There's a link to the Andrea's information to remind you, parents. It's on our website. Let me see if I can do that again. Yep, there it is again. There it is. It's on the website for those. Oh, I'm sorry. I gave sentences to Regina. She thinks I'm crazy. All right. Okay, here we go. All right. Okay, there it is on the chat. The link to Andrea's program. And we know who's here. I've recorded all the names while you're speaking, and we will be emailing parents. I want to thank you all for coming. Sister Liz, you want to make a parting comment? You have a 12th grader, I think. Sister Liz?
Hello, I have an 11th grader.
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry.
Yes.
I promoted her.
Yes. I have one that just finished college. Thank you, Deacon Wilson, from
You're
Boise
welcome.
State.
That's why I had version 1 and version 2, right? Oh, so this is version 3 we're dealing with. Okay, go ahead.
Yes, then I have one that is going to transferring to Grand Canyon.
Right,
And then I have one that just started middle school.
right.
So they're all,
Yeah, you've
So
been you're a legacy parent.
yes, and I appreciate all the help that you have given. And I encourage all the parents that are listening to reach out to you because you're very knowledgeable. And I thank you very much.
Right. Well, it makes me smart tonight as I know Eric. You look smart tonight.
Well, thank you very
Like I
much
said,
for
you're right, Ms. Porter. I depend on the deacon too. So no, he's on top of it. So you guys are very fortunate. You have someone who cares so much and is so in tune with what's going on. I literally do turn to the deacon in many cases. I mean, so thank you, Deacon, for once again allowing me to be here. I appreciate being one of your few sponsors or partners, I should say.
I don't really have 2 or 3. You and Princeton Review are probably about 2 of my only 3 I have. You and Princeton Review, and now Lakewood Rec Center. That just kind of jumped on me too.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right. Thank you all of course, CSU, but that's a very different kind of relationship. Thank you all very much for coming. Appreciate you, Eric. We'll be in touch. Go ahead and send that information and we'll get you all hooked up on the other thing too. All right.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you all for being
Thanks,
here.
parents. Thanks,
Brother
Brenda.
Moore. Thank you.
Thanks, Marjorie. I'm sorry I didn't give you a shout out. Sorry about that.
Thank you.
I didn't give you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank
That was
you so much.
Okay, you're welcome.
Thank
sister.
you.
Thank you guys.
You're
Thank you.
welcome, Marjorie.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, Sister Christine. Now we'll log it off.
Thank you. Thank you.
See ya. So much.
Thank you, Sister Moore. I hope you got something out of that.
It was very informative. Thank
Very,
you.
very interesting, huh? Tell your son I'm sending him my comments on his essay very shortly. It's on my screen right now.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. All right. Sister Dawn, thank you much.
Did you stay on the line?
Did you what?
Thank you so much. Have a good evening.
You're very welcome, Sister Dawn. All right, Sister Marjorie, what you got?
What did you say, sir?
You're in the car.
I'm driving home. But I wanted to tell Brother Moore, I've seen him before.
Yes, you have. Yes, you
with the
have.
CSU Afro-American Initiative.
That's
And
right. That's right.
Yeah,
That's right.
he has been a resource. Wow, I did not know that you two were connected. I should have known that. But it was an excellent presentation. Congratulations on your
Yeah,
contract.
we can't wait to get him in person in the building. He's gonna be one of our first guests when we do our open house.
Okay.
When we're gonna have Corliss in too. When we do open house, we plan a big open house. You know, because we're one of the first groups that we've been told are gonna move in. We don't have a timeline, but we're planning now.
Okay, I look forward to it. Thank you, Deacon
All right.
Wilson.
Great.
Thank you, Brother Moore.
Sure, bye-bye.
Thank you both. I appreciate you, Deacon Wilson.
Oh, appreciate you too. You've been around a long time. I appreciate you.
Thank you. Take care.
Okay,
Right.
bye-bye. Sister Adula, you're back?
Yes, I'm back, Deacon.
What do you need, my friend? What do you need,
I-
my friend?
I need to talk to you if you're available tomorrow about
Yes.
Kojo.
Oh, yeah, we do need to talk about Kojo. Let's see.
Yeah.
Tomorrow's an interesting day, but I see some gaps. Stand by. I have some gaps in there. Hold on.
Okay.
I just noticed when I helped someone else a minute ago who texted me, you know. Let me see. Yeah, I remember. I was surprised there were gaps. And there are gaps. Tomorrow, right? Yeah.
Yeah, if you have time.
Oh, yeah, yeah. It gets really free in the afternoon. The morning is a
Okay.
problem. The morning's a big problem.
Okay,
Can we
okay,
meet
so,
at 1 o'clock or?
okay,
or
I'll call
2?
you. I'll call you at 1 o'clock.
Yeah, call me and text me if I don't pick up.
Okay,
Let's text
Okay.
me. Let's definitely talk tomorrow about Kojo.
okay,
Okay?
okay.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
right. I do want to find out what's going on there.
Yeah, I sent you a message, but I know you're busy, so.
Yeah, maybe I missed it somehow. All right.
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah.
Okay, well, let's get it done.
Okay, okay,
Okay.
Dickon, thank you so much.
No problem. Bye-bye now.
Have a good night. Okay, bye-bye. Bye-bye.